everyone, to another episode of Sass and the Beard. It is Snowmageddon, Icemageddon 2024 here in the River Valley. Did you enjoy, Kristen, your several days
I
at
did.
home?
I did. I got snowed in with some friends,
Cool.
so it wasn't just me saying, like, took my kiddo, and they
Yeah.
were snowed in with their friends there too. You know, everybody.
Sweet.
So it was the kids had fun, and I day drink my way through it, which was fantastic, and ate everything in sight. Snow day calories don't count, right?
No.
And my kid didn't have any AMI packets.
Right? Yeah, that was. I've seen several social media posts about positive and negative when it comes to AMI, and as being married to a teacher, like, sucks that they're gonna have a couple of days at the end of the year that they're gonna have to tack on.
Something I thought was interesting is one of my friends that I was with is their kids go to private schools here, and they did AMI
did it,
packets.
yeah.
So be curious to see how that plays out if they end up getting out of school earlier than public school because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it doesn't affect me specifically that much, but I do think there's a good conversation to have about AMI instruction, about how, are we just doing it to keep from having to add days? Because obviously it's not like being in the classroom,
Right, for sure.
and it is not completely equitable across the board, depending upon your socioeconomic status. Or just like, even if your parents have to work and you're stuck at home with grandparents or your daycare's closed, like you're just not going to be able to do it as well as someone who's like us. Like my wife is, and we were both home with the kids. So if they would have had AMI, we would have been able to deal with that. So like that's a conversation that needs to be had. And there may not be any perfect answer. Like you're not going to get the 100% that you would get in the classroom. And that just needs to be understood, but we need to have something so that we're not going 5-6 days because we're not going to stop having these weather issues,
Right.
At least not,
Yeah,
however you view of the weather, like it's probably going to do this again,
Right. I mean, this is just how it is. We
Yeah.
get some snow days every year, and it's just part of it. But yeah, how we handle them is going to change based on who's elected to public office, which
Right.
is, one of those things that people don't always recognize as being connected to voting, but it is, like so many other parts of our daily lives. It's,
Well, and I've the biggest like misnomer of this is that that school districts decided to do this,
yeah.
and that's the problem is that this was tied to tax dollars. So for any school that wanted to receive tax money from the state to be able to afford the raises that were required by the LEARNS Act, they had to agree to not do AMI days.
Yeah. That was part of the
Which is
LEARNS
kind
Act.
of like a weird flex.
Well, there was a lot of things that were in there.
Like a political ploy. Like, what is it about AMI days that is so for whatever the educational reasoning, I don't know that there's a whole lot of
I think some
research
of
that
the
provides.
argument there is around, this discussion of like reading level and kids coming out of school, being able to reach the goals that they should be reaching at grade level. And so if they're doing AMI days, are they getting the amount of instruction that they need to reach those goals? Probably not.
No.
Do they get them on the makeup days in June? Probably not.
No,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
And so, but it was one of those things in the LEARNS Act, along with a lot of other requirements that went into it, that school districts can no longer do these AMI, and that's decided by the state legislature, by your state senators and state representatives. It was not decided by the school district. They had
not the Department of Education.
no say in it.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on.
We have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. This wasn't even on the agenda to talk about. We just got sidetracked. And I know you're going to talk about. I know you're going to talk about our sponsors, but I just want to give everybody kind of a preview about things that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about a correction, something I got wrong. Something I got wrong. It doesn't happen very often, so I want to make sure we pointed out, because hell might have frozen over. That might be why we got all this snow. It's because I was wrong last week.
Wait, is this hell?
Also, or is this hell? Yes, it is officially frozen over. We're going to talk about an Arkansas Racing Commission meeting that's coming up.
Yes.
We're going to talk about a local ballot question committee opposing the casino in Pope County, which is kind of like deja vu. And then we're going to talk about city council dealing with waste management.
Yes.
But before we do that, talk about our sponsors.
Yes,
Nathan.
we definitely want to thank the folks at Plant Parlor. They have been just great, ever gracious in supporting us. I haven't seen their big news being revealed yet, but looking forward to seeing that soon. We Retro Roast and Dog Ear Books. These great looking cups here are on sale at Retro Roast, half off until they're sold out. So go get you one. Obviously, Deb is here. You heard from her earlier with her points of view. And shout out to my wife and her new company. They made me this really awesome shirt. Because I was born 1981. No Dress Code LLC. Yeah. It's a new venture.
No Dress Code.
No
Boutique.
Dress Code.
Is that what it is on Facebook and social media? Yeah.
Yeah, they do custom kids and adult clothes.
It's very cute.
Yeah, and I think like boutique wise, like it's something that's kind of different in our area. There's not a lot of places where you can get like cute kids clothes. Like you can just go into the store and be like, man, it'd be awesome if like favorite X character was on shirt and or it had a cool little phrase.
Well, I love if I had an idea off of something like I saw on Pinterest or Etsy or whatever, that I could go to them and be like, here's my idea.
Yeah.
Can you help me make it into a design or whatever? I love it.
Yeah, and they have a website, Shopify, all that stuff. You should check them out.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
And then go get you in your cute new T-shirt. Go get you some books and some coffee at Dog Ear Books and Retro Roast.
Yeah, I wanted to make
and then a plant from Plant Park. It can be like a whole downtown day. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Like if it wasn't for our sponsors, we wouldn't have the Golden Ass. We wouldn't have our play-by-play director here in Deb. We love you guys, and we want you who watch the show to go and buy all the things from them. Tell us, Kristen, how did you put the proverbial foot in mouth this week?
Oh, Lordy. So many ways. No, so I wanted to talk about this. I haven't really got to tell you about it yet much, other than that I got a message. Last week we talked about a few different things. But the big thing that I got contacted about was the residency issue around Justice of the Peace Jordan Sowers. If you didn't catch that, you can go back and watch last week. So Justice of the Peace Lane Scott, who has kind of been leading that effort to say that she does not live in her district, does not meet the letter of the law requirements to hold office as a representative of that district. He's kind of been leading the charge there. Well, he came back and said that some of the things that we had said or put out maybe were confusing or misleading. And so we had a good discussion about that. And I thought it was really, I was really glad he came and talked to me.
Yeah.
Because, people, he mentioned that people have told him, don't talk to her, don't go deal with her, she won't be fair to you or whatever. And that's just really not true. If somebody, if I say something that's wrong, I want people to let us know, because we definitely want to correct it. I mean, we're human, we make mistakes. I joke about never being wrong, but I recognize. So anyways, two things with our discussion on Justice of the Peace Lane Scott. The first one was a mistake on my part. It was, I said that when the former Justice of the Peace, James Custerin, had said that his office, his accounting office, counted as a residence because he had a cot in the back. When Lane Scott said that I misrepresented him when I repeated that, and I did. I misunderstood what he said to me, that he said, yeah, I understood he had a cot in the back, and I thought that was I understood and accepted it. And he said, no, he meant he'd heard it, but he definitely saw it was a flimsy excuse. And he wasn't on the court at the time. It's not like he had a vote or a say in it. It was just kind of his, opinion personally at the time. So I wanted to clarify that because I did misspeak. The other thing was really not a mistake on our part, but it is something that he is trying to clarify individually. And so I want to relay sort of the discussion we had is, he has been quoted in this a couple of times as his way of saying that JP Jordan Sowers should abstain from voting on issues related to Cherokee Nation. Now, what he said was because members of her family are a member of the Cherokee Nation tribe. Those are the words that came out of his mouth. And so a lot of us took that to mean like you have a problem with them just, having that heritage.
Right, yeah.
Now his comment to me was that it is not about the heritage. It is about concerns about any benefits that they may receive from membership. Now he sent me some information about payments that he thought people who were members of the tribe got, that was not factual. I fact checked the article for him and was like, look, this is just wrong. And so we clarified some of that, but he did say that his intent around asking her was around like, are there financial benefits, tangible financial benefits, which is something that we would question.
Yeah.
If you were voting on something as a city council member and it directly benefited your spouse, that their job, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is something to question. And so he said that was his intent. Now, we weren't wrong there because we couldn't have known his intent. We were going off of what he said out loud.
Well, but not only that, like, there are financial benefits to being part of the Cherokee Nation, like, but not necessarily from this deal with the casino.
And there really aren't any benefits that are, like, relevant.
They're not giving you checks for your,
right. Well, and I think somebody had sent him bad information about, like, a band of Cherokee tribe out of North Carolina that does do these sort of direct payments. That is not applicable to Oklahoma. That is not
most of the benefits being involved with Cherokee Nation are like college.
And most of them apply only if you reside on a Cherokee land, Cherokee Nation land. So that is a thing there. So he wanted me to just clarify on his behalf, not because we were wrong, but just to clarify on his behalf that his intent was really not around heritage, but more around concerns about benefits.
Yeah.
And so I hope he'll continue to kind of clarify, because I think he was operating from some bad information there.
Yeah.
And he did, like that kind of was in the minutes from the last quorum court meeting, and he corrected that in the minutes as well, that it wasn't about heritage. So I think he realizes that like what he said and what he meant didn't necessarily match, which, we're all guilty of.
For sure. Like, I understand the pressure when you're trying to make a point and have an argument that you really believe. Like, sometimes you don't see how other people might see it. I don't know that, like, come on, man.
Yeah, no,
like, I get it. I'm not saying he is not telling the truth. I'm saying he probably should have saw that. That's what I'm saying.
That's the one. That's why I gotta keep saying, like, we weren't mistaken because we did not misspeak on it. But and I hope that he kind of reflects on the information and tries to kind of see if that's really still relevant based on more accurate information. The other thing, and this is I think where I just kind of did exactly what maybe Lane Scott is experiencing now, is just kind of said the wrong thing, thinking one thing and said something else.
Yeah.
Mike Goad corrected me that I said that Joe Pearson last week had run against Breanne Davis.
No, it was
actually against Judge Cross.
He was going to run against Breanne Davis.
He had thought about it,
but then he
and he looked at it. But yes, he did. He did run against Joe Cross.
Because there were
Judge Cross.
several horses in that race.
Yes, but I misspoke. I didn't even catch it in the moment when I said it out loud. And then when I saw him comment, I'm like, well, yeah, that's what I said. And I went back and looked, and I was like, that is not what I said.
Not what I said.
And so, yes. So I appreciate that from Mike.
Mike is always on.
He really stays on top of the Cherokee Nation.
If you're
stuff,
watching, Mike, thank you for keeping us on track. We do appreciate that. It's not a sarcasm at all.
No, it's so appreciated. It's good. And speaking of that, he actually alerted folks in Pope County Majority yesterday to a upcoming Arkansas Racing Commission meeting that's happening. From what I'm hearing,
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is going to happen? Do you know, this is for sure? Because I saw that it was like voice on, like a call-in.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what's going to go down. We haven't seen an agenda yet. Now, my understanding is that this is just sort of like a, thing they do annually. Like they haven't had a meeting in a while. Right. They need to have a meeting.
It's the first of the year.
Right. Yeah. And but as far as I know, there's no real plan to do anything around the Pope County Casino. We don't expect any action to happen there. But we haven't seen the agenda yet, so that could change. But as of now...
And maybe they may decide that they want to talk about it next month.
Right,
there may be some discussion as to,
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it and let folks know.
That would be nice if they would do that. If you're watching Racing Commission, if you would just please nip this issue in the bud, because...
I doubt they're watching.
We're ready.
But y'all send it to them. Let them know. The people of Pope County.
The community is done with this conversation.
We're so tired. Look, after 5 years, I want us to not talk about the casino anymore ever again, other than to be like, hey, guess what's happening at the casino this weekend? You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Do you
so
remember,
ready.
like, several years ago when we tried to have a show that didn't mention the casino? Like, every week we'd be like, hey, we're not going to talk about the casino this week. And then something would happen. And we'd just be
Constantly.
like,
But then we've, now we've gone a few weeks here and there. We haven't had to talk about it every once in a while. But this ain't one of those weeks. So that's happening.
So wait, okay. So now that we're talking about casino, what's up with the folks? Because even with the Lane Scott issue, like, we can all agree that this is just political ploy to stop the casino. Like, there is still this group that is anti, and like, they have every right to be there. These are the legal ways that they have to do that. But like, let's be honest about it up front. Like, the reason that he is doing this with the Jordan Sowers, the reason that they're doing this with like whatever this thing that you're about to talk about is because they don't want it. They don't want the casino, and like, we get that, we understand that, but we don't agree. And so like, I'm wondering when at some point the community is going to get to a point where they're just like, look, guys, can we just stop already?
You don't think we're there yet?
Well, they're still going.
Well, that doesn't mean that the community's still going. I think we reached that point during, honestly, when the last time this petition kind of was going around to try to remove it. I feel like that kind of is when the county, like when our local area sort of was just like, man, we're over it.
Yeah, we're done.
Like, people were just over it. It was contentious, I mean, of course.
Yeah, like they tried
from
to
both
get
sides.
you arrested.
They did. The show did.
You threatened to burn somebody's house down.
Nathan, I became the godmother of Pope County of politics. I'm the mob mom.
Yeah. Just calling in mob hits all the time.
Yeah, from my minivan.
From your Hyundai.
Yep. And
Sorry.
I know it's so ridiculous, but we're gonna do it again. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
So
I'm just imagining you on an episode of Sopranos.
yeah, it's totally like that. That's really except nothing like that. Arkansans for Local Voices was established, which is a new ballot question committee set up by the same folks, same group of people.
Yeah.
Jim Knight, Hans Stieritz, or some of the other like regular players we've seen involved in this.
Just same shit, different day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same, kind of mission. The reason the name changes is just because you have to establish a new ballot question committee.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you could re-establish one that had already been dissolved, but a lot of times people just start a new one.
Especially if they got as bad as they got smoked in the last election.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and most campaigns do this. They just do a
Yeah.
fresh start for the new
Yeah.
one. You know what I mean? Sometimes they'll just like put a year on the end of it or whatever. But so it's not like anything sneaky to come up with a new name.
No.
Like that's just normal part of the process. But this is kind of the first step in the process of like moving towards getting something on the ballot. You don't always see a ballot question committee formed immediately. It's the trigger for it is around spending, is that you start spending money.
Right.
Now you could be working on a ballot initiative and go through the process of even putting it, turning it in, getting the title certified, all that, and never have had to establish a ballot question committee because you weren't spending any money.
Right.
And so we've not seen them at this stage. Nothing publicly has been put out, and I looked this morning that there was no like language, no constitutional amendment, no ballot title. None of that's been turned in, and all of that has to go through a certain process before they can begin collecting signatures. So right now, all they have is the ballot question committee, and that to me indicates that they're probably spending money, planning to spend money, which we would think is probably going to be around the process of getting this written, drafted. Mm-hmm. You expect that.
Wonder if it's also maybe some kind of like publicity, if they know that the Racing Commission's about to meet, like, hey, there's still a group that's anti this around.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. So they haven't had any finance reports filed yet. Those usually are filed on the 15th of the month, because of the winter weather, I think, and that fell on a holiday.
Right.
I think we're going to see some delays around for everybody. Anybody who is filing reports will expect to see things delayed, but we'll keep an eye out for finance reports because, on the last one, the Choctaw Nation poured over $3 million into that ballot question committee to pay mostly for signature collection, and they didn't even come close.
Yeah, I wonder if Choctaw or another casino vendor is as willing to put forth the kind of money that it would take to do this.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I'm really looking to see the finance reports. It's going to be really interesting to see where they're getting money this time, who's still invested at this point.
Yeah.
Because really the threshold to put something on the ballot has gotten even harder. It does pretty much every cycle. The legislature since 2010 has been adding extra loopholes and, just
to try to shrink the public access.
To jump through, to make it harder to get on the ballot. And so one of the things they did this year was they increased the minimum number of counties, so that you can show a broad support for something before it gets put on the ballot. You have to get 100,000 signatures, basically,
from
roughly.
15 counties?
It was 15 counties. Now it's up to 50 counties. They increased it from 15 to 50 out of 75.
Wow.
Last time this group did not even reach the 15 county threshold, their minimum, and so the likelihood that they'll reach 50, the likelihood that we have yet to see that anybody's going to reach 50, and I think we're going to anticipate some challenges to the validity of that new rule because that had previously been referred to voters on a constitutional amendment from the legislature as part of changing up the ballot initiative process, and it was rejected in whole. It had other things in it.
Yeah.
But that was a piece of it, and it was rejected. And so then they just came back and
just made a law
and just did it as a state law, which was a really questionable about whether or not that's constitutional or not. They
just
said
shady, man.
It was really interesting. Yeah, they argue that where the law had said at least 15 counties, that's the Constitution had said it must be at least 15 counties. They argue that opens it up to state law because that's the floor. And
here
not
we
the
are.
Ceiling.
Here we are with legal definitions of very simple words. The last time it was it the or an?
The, at least. Yeah. I mean, and that stuff matters. Yeah. It does. But yeah, so that's just kind of where this is at. We're going to see it. We're going to see it pick up again. There was new laws made around blocking petition gatherers. That was based on the activities that happened here in Polk County and around the state related to this ballot question committee, the ones they tried to get me put in jail for, where I became the head of the mob. That one is, it's great because there's this video of one of their people screaming in my face and cussing me, but I'm the
you
one
were the one threatening to murder people.
Cool. But anyway, so that'll be happening all again under all these new rules and laws, and I will be trying to help as much as possible without going to jail.
Yeah, that's good. We don't need you.
It is a goal of mine to not ever be doing that.
The more we talk about these things, the more I'm just kicking myself for not going to law school. Can you imagine how much money people, spend on things that I'm this is so trivial. I don't know that I'm petty enough to be a lawyer. I feel like you have to be real petty to be a lawyer, or at least understand pettiness.
I am definitely petty enough to be a lawyer. I saw a T-shirt the other day I wanted that said, "If you stay petty, you don't have to get petty." And I was like, that's my mantra for 2024. How are things going with waste management?
So, I just never felt like people cared that much about their trash until I became a city council member. And no shade on people that do care about their trash, because a lot of people care about why their trash wasn't picked up. I think a lot of the issue with waste management has nothing to do with the local folks here working for waste management, because they're not responsible for how many workers Waste Management has. They're not responsible for like overtime rules. Like the DOT kind of governs a lot of those things too. I'm just gonna say it straight. If Waste Management would pick up Skyline and Deer Run neighborhoods on Monday, they would be having a lot less problems than they're having now, because they pick those neighborhoods which have the largest like amount of customers, like ratio wise, on the last day of the week where they have the least amount of available hours. Does that make sense? Like,
I hear what you're saying.
you hear what I'm saying? So if they would pick up those customers on Monday and Tuesday instead of Thursday and Friday, then I feel like they would have less struggles. Also, they would have less complaints, in my opinion. And I'm not saying people don't complain in those other, because every city council member has gotten a lot of complaints. So this is not so much about complaints as it is about the structure of this business that's having troubles.
Has nothing to do with
Poorer people living in other areas.
That certain neighborhoods are more likely to
complain about their
complainers.
Trash. Yes. I wouldn't say it has nothing to do with that, but I think the threshold of what that has to do is because everybody's getting complaints. So,
but do you think if they move to a different part of town on Friday, that like that side of town isn't going to end up complaining just as much? Like,
no, it's not. It's not that the people are complaining. It's that they're not finishing their work.
but that's what I'm saying.
And
like,
that's
if they
why
go
people are complaining.
with a different side of town and they don't finish that side of town's work.
I feel like if they go to a different side of town on days where there are less homes that they're collecting from, like there are a lot more multi-family use homes on those parts of town that get to choose their own. Like those are not single family homes.
Right, where they're coming through and they're emptying like one big container instead of
a
bunch of individual ones. I see what you're saying.
Whereas the city has pigeonholed this rule where residential homes have to use this one carrier.
Yeah.
Well, per capita, like most of the residential properties are on the west side of town. Like, and so when you have this company that deals a lot of their work in, they can only work 60 hours in a week. They've come pretty close to that by a Thursday. So their largest customer base on the last day of the week is when they are having the most amount of trouble finding people to work it because they've expended all of their hours. So I just seems like one easy thing that they could do is change the schedule of when pickups happen.
I'm suspicious.
There are a lot more other things there are a lot of other things they could do as well, like hire more employees.
I think the changing it to another day is just like make Nathan's life easier because that's his district.
No, I wish.
Change it over to somebody. Look, let's pick out which council member we don't like and send it to their, like, that's the district that gets it the last day of the week.
No, literally, like, I care the least amount about this issue from a personal
you
standpoint.
know whose districts get picked up first? Justin Keller's.
No, but my point is, like, I don't use the trash that much. Like so there are some weeks where I have a lot of trash and there are some weeks where I could miss a week. But I make sure that I put my can out and just leave it till they pick it up and then I put it back. Because someday, like, especially like, anyway.
Now see, over in my neighborhood, like, everybody's really good about putting their trash can up at the end of the day, like at the day that it runs.
Yeah.
And so people like leaving their trash out by the curb, you're going to get dirty looks from every neighbor.
Okay, but if they didn't pick up, I'm not moving it. I'm not moving it until they pick up.
But also I would be upset
because I would forget. Like I put it out Thursday night and leave it until it's empty and then I put it back. And so like there are people that are upset about it being out longer, but that's like, and I get it. Like if you have those complaints, but like I don't have time to worry about that personally in my daily life. And so, like, if it's empty, I'm putting it up. If it's not empty, it's staying out there till they come get it.
Well, and I get it. You know, for some people who have like big families and stuff, like their trash is full by the time it goes out. You know what I mean? And for some people, it's not a big deal, right?
And it's cold, and people don't want to walk to the end of their thing
I get
and
it. Yeah.
dump trash. They want to, like I understand.
But it is an ongoing thing.
So basically, we had Waste Management come to the agenda prep meeting last week, and they received a lot of complaints, not just from citizens, but from city council members. I feel like several council members were asking questions of the statewide director that he really can't answer. Like, what are you going to do about this problem is a good question to ask, but like saying to them, like, what should I tell people that call me complaining? Like, dude, just tell them. Like, tell them that you're working on the problem. Like, that's what you should tell them. Like, don't make this guy be embarrassed in front. Like, there is that level. Like, people want to. I feel like that is part of the political game that you have to play that I don't really like playing, because it's not fair to the person that's there in representing this company, that like it's the company's problem, not this guy's problem.
Right. And the same thing with the people who are out like picking up trash
or
the
one person that they've hired to answer the phone. Like, it's not her fault that, like, she has her only job is customer service. Like, is to say, yes, we'll get to it. I'm sorry. Like, that's it. And if you like,
although I will say I'm one of those people that I never really understand, or I don't think about it, that like for some people it's a big deal, like for somebody to like raise their voice or cuss. Like, to me, I don't know. I think from being in politics and stuff, I'm like, man, I've got such a thick skin. You could come up and like, call me names, tell me I'm ugly.
Kids,
like, that's different.
My wife, my family.
Look, if they come and do it to you, I'm gonna be mad about it. If they do it to me, I can deal with it. Right?
I'm the same way. Like, there are people that like.
No, don't be mean to Nathan. I'll kick your ass. But me, I can handle it. You
I
know
can
what
handle
I mean?
it.
And he's the same way, right? It's just how it is. But so I never think about that. Like, I mean, I'm not the type of person that calls up like a customer service thing and it's just like, rah.
No, because I work in customer service. I understand. Like,
but I
what's
also forget sometimes that like, because somebody could do that to me and I don't even, it like rolls off me. I don't care. I'm like, okay, have a good day. But it does matter to people. And so if you're one of those people that it doesn't bother you, like, think about it, because there are people who are doing this work that are not getting paid enough, and they are
just like have empathy and kindness in as much of this stuff as you can do. Like, I get people get pissed, like I get mad all the time, but like, watch Daniel Tiger. Like, if you feel so mad and you want to roar, take a deep breath and count to 4 before you call somebody on the phone asking them to do something for you. Use some toddler parenting techniques on yourself and chill out for a second.
So my mantra for 2024 is about being petty, and yours comes from Daniel Tiger. I love it. I feel like that's a good place. I feel like that's a good place to stop.
Have I ever told you about using gentle parenting tactics at work? For like, there should be a whole TikTok or video like of like millennials and Gen Zers using gentle parenting tactics on their boomer managers.
There is one. I'll send it to you. It's so great. It's so great. And also, I just saw a meme the other day that said, that man you're using gentle parenting techniques on is not your soulmate. And it cracked me up because I was like, I've done that. Definitely done that. All right. So anyways, fun times this week. Good to see you.
We don't have any, like, at this point, we've still got till 2025 with trash collection. So we have like started a committee, but there's not going to be any major decisions for a while. Yeah. So we're going to have to deal with it. And you can email me, you can call me about it. I want to hear your complaints. This is not me saying I don't want to hear your complaints. Please don't take that away from this, because I don't know if you don't tell me.
Yeah. So. I want y'all to complain to him. Tell him. Complain to all of them. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, it was fun to see you. It's been a snowy, crazy week. I hope everybody has been staying warm and safe.
Yes.
And
there are several warming centers in the community. If you're having issues with like food or like heat and air and bills and things like that, there are several organizations out there that are for those. you can always message us and we can help you get connected. I think that's it for this week. Yeah.
Yep. I'm ready for these kids to go back to school.
Yes. Hopefully school will start back tomorrow. If you are watching this, please share it with your friends. Let them know what's going on in our community in the River Valley, politically and otherwise. And we'll see you guys next week.